So, okay, let's start about idiopathic toe walking. Idiopathic toe walking uh, is quite a common condition that you're going to see in your pediatric OPDs if you have one. So, these are basically children who do not touch their heel to the ground, and it's actually if you look at the gait cycle. So you have a stance phase and a swing phase. Now, toe walking is defined as a child whose initial foot contact pattern is on the forefoot rather than a normal heel strike. As we know that the first part of the stance phase would be a heel strike. Over here, there is no heel strike. So the heel does not touch the ground, whereas it is a foot strike or a forefoot strike, which happens first. And rather than a normal heel strike. So this is basically what toe walking is. Okay. So this is can be caused, the toe walking can be caused by a number of causes, but in the absence of another cause for toe walking, a diagnosis of idiopathic toe walking is made. Now, this is basically a diagnosis of exclusion. Okay. So, toe walking as such can represent a normal developmental pattern in early gait development. Okay. And these toe walkers spontaneously resolve in about 80 to 85% of cases, they become normal. Okay. So when we initially evaluate a child with toe walking, uh, we need to evaluate why it happens. Okay, so the differential diagnosis for toe walking ranges from uh, toe walking, which is part of the normal development, like we already told, to toe walking due to congenital conditions, acquired conditions, neuromuscular conditions, neurological conditions, muscular dystrophy, cerebral palsy, spinal dysraphism, tethered cord syndrome. So there are many different causes why toe walking can happen. So basically, you need to exclude everything else, and when you exclude everything else, we can call it idiopathic toe walking. Okay, so what we see is in a majority of cases where there is no other cause, a lot of these children suffer from autistic spectrum disorder. Okay. However, I am not trying to tell here that autism is a cause of idiopathic toe walking, but in children with idiopathic toe walking, a lot of these children have some form of autism spectrum disorder. Okay. Now, when do we get these children? Now, as you know, that normal walking starts at the age of 10 months, and most children who are having some sort of congenital acquired or neurological conditions have a delayed gross motor development. And these children generally start to walk by, say, about 15 to 18 months of age, at which time they realize that the children are walking on their toes. So, children generally present by about 18 months when their parents are concerned why the child does not have a normal heel strike while walking. Okay. So, at that age, at about 18 months of age, we can actually observe most of these children because it can be part of the normal development. But if this toe walking persists after the age of 3 years, okay, then definitely most of these parents who bring their children in are valid in their concerns to bring them in at this point in time. Okay. However, children who continue to toe walk beyond the age of 5 years are described as having a persistent idiopathic toe walking. Okay, now persistent idiopathic toe walking is used to describe this toe to toe pattern and can include both children with and without a contracture at the ankle. Okay, so basically, we need to know that at 18 to 3 months, 18 months to 3 years, they can present to us. Most of them can resolve spontaneously, but children who are more than 5 years of age are called persistent idiopathic toe walkers, and for them we need to do a complete battery of investigations and they require certain treatments on their own. Okay, so natural history wise, about 5 to 24% of all children suffer from toe walking, and most of these cases resolve spontaneously. So one of the cohorts which was done on the natural history happened in Sweden, where about 1,500 odd children had toe walking. Now, out of this, say about 7 to 8% had toe walking, which resolved. 7 to 8% would be about. I'm not very sure. I think these numbers are about 36, which resolved to 18, and then came down to 16. And by the age of 10 years, hardly 10 to 15 children out of the entire 1,500 children had toe walking. So that means to say that even though at a younger age, at the age of 3 years, you can have children walking with toe walking, this spontaneously resolves over time, and about two-thirds of children resolve, only one-third continue to be having a persistent idiopathic toe walking. Okay, does genetics play a role? We do not have a concrete evidence that genetics does play a role, but we know that boys are more involved than girls, and that is why there may be an X-linked recessive condition where further investigations or further research can be done. Now, the initial workup of a child with idiopathic toe walking must include a thorough history, physical examination, particularly looking at the general development, when their different developments took place with regards to gross motor activities, the timing of toe walking, whether it's more in the mornings, more in the evenings, whether it gets better during the day or whether it gets worse during the day. Because all of these ideas give us, all of these points give us pointers towards one or the other cause for toe walking. Now, these are the different causes of toe walking, most of which can be ruled out with a thorough history and physical examination. The most common cause of toe walking in children, especially in our age right now, is uh, cerebral palsy, where there is some sort of spastic insult to the brain. Okay, so some sort of insult to the brain leading to spastic diplegia or spastic hemiplegia. Okay, so if there is a history of premature birth, perinatal complication, prematurity, or there is a delayed motor milestones, refractory to treatment, then these are all pointing towards a, a cerebral palsy. There could be delayed motor milestones or worsening of the motor milestones. There could be loss of bowel and bladder control or incontinence, constipation, back pain, leg pain, especially during the growth spurts. And all of these are going to point towards a tethered cord, or if they are having a history of a myelomeningocele, which was closed earlier, again, that points towards a tethered cord, which is progressive. There may be a condition where the toe walking worsens throughout the day. So it is okay in the mornings and gets worse at the end of the day, and that would be a dopa responsive dystonia. And if there is a family history of a similar condition, it could be either a hereditary sensory motor neuropathy or it could be a muscular dystrophy such as Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. Now, coming to the physical examination findings, if there is any dorsal midline skin lesions, any of these spinal cord problems such as myelomeningocele, diastrophy, tethered cord can be seen. If there is calf hypertrophy, we are classically talking about Duchenne's, but any other muscular dystrophy can also present to you. Now, when I'm talking about neurological conditions, they can be both upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron conditions where toe walking can take place. Okay, and in cases where cerebral palsy is thought about, always check for the popliteal angle because it's not just the ankle which would be involved with spasticity. It would also be the knee joint, hip joint, and most other joints which part of the brain is involved. According to that, that many joints may be insulted.